And one of the reasons why I think Google is such a fascinating and incredible place, because I don't think Sergey or Larry ever thought about it in these terms, but Google is the ultimate dhando business. And the reason it's the ultimate dhando business is if you look at, like, for example, your self-driving cars. So the self-driving cars, the real capex on that would come when you need to build large-scale factories to produce, millions of cars. It is not when you're doing the R&D for those cars or have a few prototypes and put a few dozen engineers on it and that sort of thing. So if you think of the outflows or outlays Google has on the self-driven car, I would bet you're probably spending more on food on the campus than you're spending on the self-driven cars. And so it's an asymmetric bet, right? It's basically, if it doesn't work, it has no impact on cash flows or anything. And if it does work, it's game-changing. Same thing with Android. A few years back, Android was a project like the self-driven car is, and it moved from being one of those, outlier, out there projects to very much central and cash flow. And then even when you look at your balloons with the internet access or all the different other projects that you guys are working on it, basically each one of those has the potential to be a game changer in terms of kind of where the world ends up. But none of those have costs associated with them that have anything to do with threatening the company in any way, right? I mean, it's a rounding error in terms of the cash flows that the company produces. So the fact that the DNA of a place like Google is able to do things which are not in adjacent fields, it's quite spectacular. And most other companies don't have the DNA to be able to do that. And my 2 cents looking from the outside is probably the only other business I see that has the ability to do that is Amazon. And I think in the end, you will meet them head to head on a number of different fronts. So that's why it's just a great place to be.